do it for you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Eddie Mata Show. Today's guest, a good actor. He's played in The Irishman. He had a cameo there, and his upcoming film, Capone, with lead actor Tom Hardy, Matt Dillon, and Gino. Please, Linda who? How do you say her last name? What a great actress.
Cardellini. She's awesome.
She's a great actress. And
Cardellini. You got and my sister from another Mister, Catherine Narducci.
You know, I noticed you and Catherine are like in the numerous films, man. You guys are like, how many films are you in together with her?
Well, let's just say, let's see. She directed me in a short that she wrote and directed, and then I directed her in a short that I wrote, well, not wrote, but produced and directed. And you know what? People think because we know each other and we're like brother and sister that that's the hook. But quite honestly, it just ironically happens that way.
Right.
Like, we look out for each other, but she wasn't like, oh, I'm going to get you on The Irishman or
right.
It's not. People automatically go to that. It's about the work. It's about putting in the work.
But you see that picture right there? You see the screen, you and her right there?
I see it.
By the way, for you people that don't know who Catherine Narducci is, she was in The Bronx Tale, played Robert De Niro's wife, screaming at her son, Cologio. And she's been in numerous films. She's been Joe Pesci's wife in The Irishman. She's been with you, numerous films. But anyway, Gino, welcome to the show. I really appreciate.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you for having me, Eddie.
Absolutely. I want to thank Matt.
I apologize for the Mets hat. I know you're a big Yankee fan, but
you know what? It's all good because you know why? The New York Mets, they're in the junior varsity league. There's no threat to the AL East.
Take it easy there, buddy. You know what? We were taking back New York for a short period of time there. 2015 was a great year, and that was the year that I thought we were going to actually win the World Series again. And I was filming Cruise at the same time, so I actually thought filming Cruise and the Mets being in the World Series, getting to the World Series, I thought it was going to be like a whole magical year. And then I was at Game 5 when they lost, when Matt Harvey was pitching, and I left in I think the 6th inning, and I was like, I took the 7 home, and I was just depressed. But it's all good. It's all good. You know what? All New York teams, of course. And I got some history with the Yankees, which you know, of course.
Well, we'll talk about that later with the Yankees history. Anyway, listen, Gino, ever since you were a kid, what inspired you to become an actor back then? What made you? What'd you see that you said, "Man, I want to do this for a living"?
Watching The Honeymooners on Pix 11,
which is your
as a kid.
Oh.
My favorite sitcom of all time. I think a close second is The Odd Couple, but The Honeymooners as a kid. Watching, my parents are from Italy. They're from a town called Pietrapertosa, city called Potenza. So they're both from the same city, same town in Italy. And for a guy like Jackie Gleason, who created a character like Ralph Cramden from Brooklyn, a black and white show in the 50s that happened to be on in the late 60s and 70s and 80s and today still. Like tonight, my mother called me up. Watch Ralph. She doesn't even call him Jackie Gleason. She calls him, watch Ralph. He's on tonight on Channel 11. For a guy like that to put smiles and make people laugh like that, especially like my parents, immigrants from Italy, they didn't get the language, but they got the humor and they got his mannerisms and his physical comedy and his expressions. For a guy like that, when I saw a guy like that do his thing, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew I wanted to do that. And then when I watched the biopic that Brad Garrett played Jackie Gleason on, it was on CBS. He said something in that biopic that Jackie Gleason said. He said he sat there with his father watching vaudeville, and when he watched the expressions and the reactions from the people in the crowd, Jackie Gleason knew exactly. He knew what he wanted to do the rest of his life, and he did it.
Right.
So that's kind of like why I wanted to get involved in the entertainment industry, as far as being a performer or as an actor or anything to inspire people or make people laugh or smile or feel. He's the guy that did it for me. Jackie Gleason, in whole, as an actor and a performer, as a comedian. Ralph Cramden was only a small part of what his career was all about, but a big part of it. That was the guy for me. That's what made me want to do what I do now.
So check this out. This is a great story, right? You moved to LA from New York, and you said, I'm just gonna go to LA just to hang out, get out of New York for a little bit. You were like, acting, if it comes, whatever. I'm just gonna go to LA and move, right? You're hanging out with your friends, you meet these friends, they're New Yorkers too. The guy cuts your reel, puts it on YouTube, and all of a sudden, you get a phone call. Now, hold on a minute. I want to introduce this guy. You get a phone call. His name is Robert Siegel. He actually wrote the movie The Wrestler, which was nominated for numerous awards, right? Tell me that story. What happened exactly?
Yes, he won. He won the Best Director at the Gotham Awards. Mickey Rourke was nominated for Best Actor. But before that, there goes my boy Rob Siegel.
Yeah,
he's the man. Let me tell you, he's the salt of the earth. That guy's the man right there. That guy changed the course of my life in the direction of what I, kind of like was doing in my life. I went out. See, when you do something with no expectations, you kind of like don't do something to expect something in return.
Right.
And you just give and throw it out to the universe and give and be a good human being. Stuff comes back to you. So really, me going out to LA in 2006 was really spur of the moment. I worked in corporate America all my life. I was in sales all my life. I went from selling cars to selling cabinets to getting into telecom and selling cellular to launching Sprint PCS wireless in 97 to working at Verizon in 2005. And that's the year I kind of just really decided within like 2 weeks, packed my bags, took whatever I had in the bank, and went to LA with no expectations. I wanted to get out of New York. I just felt, you know what? I went through some stuff here in New York. Not that it's important to talk about now, but I was going through some stuff. People go through their emotions in life, and I decided to move to LA with no expectations. And being in my 40s, well, actually, I was in my late 30s, going into my 40s. I was living in Santa Monica on a couch for the first couple of months, but I didn't care. I was near the beach.
Oh, yeah.
I was in LA. I always wanted to be in LA as a kid, and I just went out there with no expectations. I wind up taking a VHS tape of one of my first reels of some things that I did here in New York. I shot some stuff. I got my SAG card through The Sopranos. I auditioned for David Chase once. There was a lot of people auditioning for David Chase, like, 10, 12, 13, 14 times. I read for David Chase, and I booked The Sopranos. It was, I mean, for me, I heard the horror stories of like reading for The Sopranos. I read for the show like 10 times, 12. I had never got The Sopranos. I read for the show once. I went in there prepared. I booked. I got my SAG card. They wind up taking my lines out. I wind up getting into SAG. I wind up cutting a reel. I did some other miscellaneous short films and some independent films, and I cut a reel. I moved to LA. I meet an actor by the name of Paulie Gennaro, sweetheart actor who's in LA still. And he says, there's a thing called YouTube. He's like, you should put your on YouTube.
Wait.
I'm like, well,
what year was
how do I get my how do I get my VHS tape on YouTube?
wait, hold on. What year was that? 06?
I moved to LA in 06. The real, I meet Paulie Gennaro in like 07, 08. He puts my reel on in like 08, but he encrypts it, or he takes it and like whatever he does with it, and he puts it on YouTube.
Wow.
And I go, holy shit. I go, wait a second, YouTube. I'm like, I don't know anything about YouTube. Like, YouTube was started what, in 2005?
Actually, yeah, 05, 04, 05, I remember, yeah.
So it's still fairly new, right?
Yeah,
3, 4
exactly.
years, right? It's still new. No one, no one really knows of it. Like, people thought it was going to be a fad, YouTube. So I'm like, all right, whatever. And then I realized I left my cell phone number on my reel. I go, wait a second, you're going to throw my cell number out there like into the internet? And I'm like, like it's bad enough that, I have some people that have my number already. I'm like, all right, it's going to go onto like the World Wide Web and people are going to have my number. And I go, all right, whatever. And I didn't think anything of it. And 2 months later, I get a call from Rob Siegel. I'm bartending in Beverly Hills.
Where were you bartending in Beverly Hills?
On Dayton and Beverly Drive, a place called Il Fornaio.
Is it still there?
It was
No.
I'll never forget. It was a Sunday. It was a Sunday afternoon. I was going to work, and Rob called me on a Sunday, and I pick up the phone. I remember like it was yesterday. I'm walking out of my car, and I pick up the phone. I'm like, "Hello." He's like, "Hey, my name's Rob Siegel. I just came off a set of a movie called The Wrestler." Now I knew about The Wrestler because I'm a huge cinephile. I love movies.
Uh-huh.
I love Mickey Rourke. I love 9.5 Weeks. I love Year of the Dragon. I loved Angel Heart. A big Mickey Rourke fan. I knew of the movie, so I was kind of like listening to the comment. Like it was like, okay, he just did a movie with Mickey Rourke, but I thought it was a bunch of friends of mine in New York that just like were messing around with me. I didn't really think anything of it. I really didn't. And I pretty much, and he'll tell you the same story. I hung up on him.
Did you really hang up on him?
He wound up calling Paulie, and then he wound up calling me back. And he's like, "No, I'm for real. I pulled up your reel on YouTube. I punched in a bunch of, because Paulie, he tagged him like character actor, New York actor."
No, but what he did, you know what they do, Paulie, on YouTube? They add the tags like character, New Yorker. On YouTube, when you put, like, you add stuff like Mets fan, Joe Pesci.
That's what he did.
Like that. The keyword.
That's what he did.
Right.
And somehow we found it. And then when he started talking about more about, like, I wrote this script called, originally it was called Paul Alfiero, the lead character and big fan. I wrote this script, and he goes, "I like what I saw, but you just kind of look," again, he's rolling the dice. So this is what I love about, whether it be directors, producers, writers, actors. When you take a chance and you feel it, you take the chance. He took a chance on me. He saw a quick reel that really didn't showcase my acting, but he saw what I looked like. He said I looked like Patton Oswalt's more charismatic brother, as if he had a charismatic brother. And I wrote this script where he had a brother in the script.
He had a good visual on you.
Exactly.
So you fit the role like a glove.
Yes.
And what was in the film?
But as a director, being that I directed a short film and that I eventually want to direct my first feature, you do your homework. You're like, well, does he fit? Does he not fit? You do your homework. And sometimes you got to roll the dice. He rolled the dice. He really didn't see much on me, like as an actor, and he rolled the dice. And I'm always grateful to that because he took a shot, and no audition. I said, "I'm in LA." He's like, "You're in LA? You got a 917 number?" I go, "Yeah, I'm a New Yorker, but I live in LA." He goes, "Wow." I go, "Listen, if you're actually offering me a role in this film, I read the script and I think it's amazing, and I read the Wrestler script. A year before the Wrestler came out, I was like, holy shit, man, this guy can write." And then I read Big Fan, and I said, "If you're offering me the role, I know it's a low budget film. It's like whatever it was, modified or ultra low, whatever it was. I really didn't even care about the money. I said I will fly myself to New York because my parents are in New York. I could stay with my parents, and I want to do this film." And then he goes, "I'm giving you the role without an audition." And my first day on set, I was changing out of a car in Staten Island, and I loved every second of it because I knew that there was something really special about the film.
But think about the role. All right, you're a sports fan like I am. This is kind of like a sports film, right? I haven't seen the film, I'll be honest with you, but I saw what it's about, right? It's about, tell me the story. It's about a sports fan.
Saw The Wrestler?
The Wrestler, yeah. I saw that. I love that.
And I love The Wrestler, and I love Darren Aronofsky, and again, Rob wrote The Wrestler. And I'm not comparing the two, but as far as character study, it's like an homage, kind of like The Taxi Driver. And the backdrop is the obsessed sports fan, but more importantly, it's very character driven. It's almost kind of like what the Joker is today.
Yeah.
Almost Rob Siegel had that vision of that character study and that psychosis of somebody, 10, 11 years ago.
And you know what's
really more of a character study.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? Darren Aronofsky told Mickey Rourke, he says, "Listen, I'm going to give you an opportunity. Don't fuck it up, okay? Don't mess it up. You've been absent the past 14 years in the showbiz. And let me tell you something. If Mickey Rourke had his shit together, like being consistent, like being because he didn't like authority. He hated authority. That's why people.
Well, yeah, and again, I mean, well, again, that's there's the pros and cons of what Mickey Rourke did in his career, and I still respect Mickey Rourke as an actor
Oh
because
yeah,
I still think we could bring it to the table
he could.
without a doubt.
Yeah,
But you kind of there's a lot of good and bad about the business, and I kind of try to stay away from that as much as as a kid being a cinephile and loving movies, going to the movies and watching TV and film and watching like films. I just loved it because I just there was an expression of wow, like it's like wow, these like people are like expressing themselves as actors and
yeah, yeah,
turning into characters. I fell in love with it. It's when it hits you,
yeah.
you know it.
And let me.
It's not like,
Yeah,
it's not like you wake up one day and like maybe to a very minute population of a
right.
lot of the actors and filmmakers and producers and directors. It happens like it just happens out of left field. But for me, I've always done it from my heart. So that's and I'm still going to do that from my heart. And there's a couple of people in the business that always talk about if you do it from your heart, everything's going to work out.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
that's kind of what that's my school of filmmaking and
So
acting.
back
I
to
do it hard.
back to Rob, right? You actually wrote a short, and you shot a little bit of it. I saw it on YouTube, the trailer. I think that's an amazing story. And then Rob tells you, hey, I'm gonna rewrite it. The original name was Franny Louie, something like that. Was it called?
Franny Lou, which stands for Francis Lewis Boulevard, which is a
Right,
big strip that runs from the tail of Whitestone, Queens, all the way to Jamaica, Queens.
right. So
And
then he told,
it's kind of like American Graffiti. It was a strip back in the
yeah,
'60s, even the '50s, '60s, '70s, '80s, early '90s.
and
Was a strip that existed and still exists, but there's no really. Maybe you'll catch a certain few crews in it, but it was kind of my social media back then, back in the summer of '87 or the '80s.
so then he wrote it, right? He rewrote the film. He helped you rewrite it, and then all of a sudden it came out, and here's the poster right there, Cruise.
It was that poster is an 8 to 10 year journey.
Eight to
An
ten years it took you.
8 to 10 year journey. I never forgot what certain like big moguls in California and Hollywood told me. They said write or know what you know, or like keep it real or and authentic. And that really kind of stuck with me after about a year or two living in LA. And I was like, well, what can I write or do? Um, and I said, you know what? Like I always cruised like this strip. I went to this high school like off the strip. I went to college in Queens, and that was my kind of like again my social media back then. Like coming out of high school, coming out of college, hitting the strip day, night, weekend, week. I'm like this is like American Graffiti. Like to me that like if you told me that I was going to be like working on a film 30 years ago about me cruising the boulevard back then, I'd be like that's crazy. But I started writing what I knew. So I actually started writing it as a pilot. So the original story was I wrote it as a pilot. I wrote it as a pilot. I called it Franny Lou, and I sent the pilot over to Rob, and then I sent over the um, short story that I wrote and directed and shot to Rob. Um, and I wasn't really. I was kind of like really pitching it indirectly.
Right.
I was like, I don't know. This is kind of something I'm passionate about that I've been writing in LA, and then I want to write what I know. And he's like, I'm surprised because I didn't know that you were such a good writer. I'm like, well, I don't really consider myself a writer, but you're not a writer until someone tells you you're a writer.
Right.
So now I consider myself a writer. I always like looked at myself as an actor. He said, I really would love to do this, but I would want to do it as a movie. And I was like, great. I didn't question. I wasn't like, oh, well, let's pitch it as a series because I respected that he took the chance on me when he found me on YouTube. That I was like, you know what? He already hit a homer out of the park with Big Fan. It was at Sundance. It got nominated for Best Picture at Sundance in 2009. I'm like, all right, let's roll with it. And we got together, and he started writing it as a screenplay.
And you know what? How gorgeous is this woman right here? I mean, I'm trying to. Is this the closest I could get to her right now? I mean, that is. Is she beautiful on set or what? Come on, Gino, be honest. I mean, that is some beautiful woman.
Listen, she's got enormous talent.
She does, right?
She has enormous talent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure her focus is on. She's a great actress, and I think she was fantastic in the film, and her reviews on the film were fantastic.
Wow.
And she's done a couple of films. She's involved with a lot of other endeavors, Instagram, some companies that she's launched. I just don't know if she's committed to the acting game.
Right.
And I'm not downplaying it.
Right.
But but being from the old school way of like taking classes as an actor and putting in the grit and putting in the time as an actor, like to reference like my best friend, and I'm not plugging her because she's my best friend. She's like my sister, Catherine.
Right.
Dude, she's a trained actor studio, gritty, like does her thing. She gets put in a box every once in a while, yeah, but she's a powerhouse of an actress, and she puts in the time and she puts in the work, and it's all about putting in the work. And I'm not saying that someone like Emily doesn't want to put in the work, but I kind of understand it. She's making a living, and she's hitting a grand slam on her IG and on her swimsuit line and a bunch of other companies that she's launching, and I get it. But if she wants to move forward being an actress, she's a great actress. But I don't, you really kind of, I know some people can do it all. I'm not sure how committed she is to the acting game, but I got to tell you, she was incredible on set. She was a professional. Mm-hmm. She was incredible with the cast, the crew, fans. She's awesome. She's a great human being.
Was she your number one pick, or was it between her and another girl, or is she was it?
I really relied. I had some input, and like I would always get like tape of like actors auditioning for certain roles. Mm-hmm. But it really, Rob, it was all Rob. Rob was like, Emily read the script.
Right.
She wanted to do it. She's like, I want to get involved with a movie that has some substance and just as well written. And she wanted to, again, as a social media influencer, or as an actress, or as a Renaissance woman, she found a good product. It was a good product for her. So she was kind of fighting for the role in a way. She was like, I read it. I love it. I'd love to do it. Can I talk to Rob about it? And Rob thought it was a great fit. And I thought it was a great fit too.
By the and she did a great job. Cruise is on Amazon Prime and Hulu, right? That's where you can see the film. And you and Catherine are playing the parents. You have a nice Italian accent going on, you and Catherine, because I guess she's your wife in the film. And
we're basically playing my parents, my mother and father. It was I could have done it in my sleep. I'm basically playing my dad, and she's playing my mom. Now, because the lead character is basically playing me. Now, with like inches on top of like what I am now. But,
by the way, we're gonna go on pause real quick. Share it on your Facebook, as you can see.
Yeah.
Just go to my page, Eddie Mata, and just share it on yours. Say, I'm live right now. You know what I mean?
Okay, so you're live on you right now, right?
Yeah.
Is that where you are?
You go to mine, and where it says share, you do that, and then it'll go on your page, so people don't have to just go to YouTube. They could go to Twitter, they could go to the Facebook, and they could go to YouTube. It's all at the same time.
Eddie Mata, okay, here we go. Oh, I see you there.
Yeah.
I see you.
So you just share it to yours. That's all. You just click the share.
I gotta write something.
All right, go ahead.
Now. Okay. We're in.
All right. So now I want to know about this character.
I wish I could smoke a cigar in my apartment right now.
And I want to know, how'd you get this character right here? That is a funny bastard right there.
Let me tell you about Sebastian Maniscalco, man. Chicago guy who I've been following on YouTube. I met him in LA years ago, very briefly, but um, I love meeting. I produced comedy at Caroline's for a while back in the '90s. We'll go back to the whole Yankee, how you doing, like Yankee song. Like that was like when I was producing stand-up comedy. But I was always a fan of like stand-up comedians, and I was living in LA, and I ran into Sebastian, and Catherine knew Sebastian as well, and he was doing his like thing, hitting the comedy clubs. But when I moved back to New York, I started like seeing his YouTube videos, and a lot of people didn't know who he was, and I was like, you got to see this guy Sebastian, it's hilarious. So there were like a lot of New York actors that wanted that role that he played in Cruise, including myself. I told Rob, I said, I would love to play the bad guy in Cruise. He goes, I see you more as the dad of the main character. And I'm like, and I thought about it for a second. I never, it really never hit me. But then then it all came into play, and it was like it all made sense. Because the father of the lead character, I would be basically playing my father. And I'm like, well, I gave birth to the project Cruise. It would be only right for me to play the dad of the main character. So it all made sense. So I totally kind of like forgot about that role. And there were a ton of actors in New York that wanted that role.
Well, I don't. Yeah, well, I mean, seriously. But do I look like?
And to give props to UTA, they said, Rob, we got this comedian. Rob and I have been following Sebastian for a while. UTA recommended Sebastian to Rob, and then Rob said, well, what do you think of Sebastian? I'm like, I was pushing for some other like friends in New York that would have been perfect for the role, but you just know when someone has it as far as ability, or whether it be comedic timing, or as a comic, or as an actor. You just knew, and I just knew, and Rob just knew. I was like, no, it's going to be a great fit. Even though he's a Chicago guy, I mean, yeah, Chicago, New York, they fits back in the '80s too.
Yeah,
they did that. They did the same thing. If you see the film Cruise, whatever we did in Queens, New York, in Whitestone, every metropolitan city in the United States did it. We cruised. Everybody cruised, listened to music. That was our social media.
Yeah.
And I was just a huge fan, and I was like, that's awesome. And he was fantastic in the film.
And then, let me ask you this, Gino. I want your opinion. Do I look like this guy? Because people tell me I look like Sebastian sometimes. They tell me, well, you look like the comedian. I'm like, I don't know about that.
You know what? I mean, not with the scruff, man. I could see it maybe on a profile type of scenario, but I don't see it immediately.
Right. So okay, so then
it's okay. Let me see. I could say you look like more like shit, man. I'm pinning you for somebody, but I just can't pin it right this second. It's definitely like one of those character actors, like maybe a Robert Pastorelli, or
I get a whole bunch, man. I'm like, I get Tony Danza sometimes. I get everything, man.
Danza.
When I was younger.
Listen.
So
you're Eddie.
Exactly.
And keep to your roots. And keep being authentic.
Yeah.
And everything, and do it from the heart, and everything will work out.
And now here's a classic. You reunited with Sebastian in The Irishman. Now tell me about this. Now check this out. I want to know the truth about Martin Scorsese. How many takes does it take to accomplish a scene? Like, were you on set and it's like, holy shit, this is like the 10th take? You know what I mean? Because Jonah Hill told me, when I met Jonah Hill, he told me, yeah, there's some takes, we're going to be there forever. And then some takes, he'll execute right away.
Again, another film, or people are automatically assumed, because Catherine worked her ass off and auditioned and did her thing and earned that right to be in that film.
Right.
It wasn't given. It wasn't like, hey, I'm getting handouts. Never. That's definitely not how Scorsese works.
Right.
No. Same thing applies to me. I knew about the film. I knew about the film before it actually shot. I picked up the book. I heard you paint houses. I read the book. I picked a character from the book. I wrote my own monologue. I put myself on tape. I nailed an audition on a tape, working all day on the tape. I sent it to my agent. The agent loved it. The agent sent it to Ellen Lewis. Ellen Lewis loved it. She said, I got to send it to Marty, so see what he thinks. She sends it to Marty. He likes it. She comes back to my agent. Marty liked it. Ellen Lewis liked it. But it doesn't stop there.
Okay,
You got to wait a couple of months to actually go in and read for Ellen again, or go in for Ellen. So I did my due diligence and I did my homework and I put the work in to send the tape to my agent. The agent sends the tape to the casting director. Casting director sends it to Marty. Feedback comes back from Marty, back to the casting director. Casting director calls you in. Casting director says to the agent, we love him. Marty loves him. But we were thinking about maybe 3 or 4 roles, so we're not sure yet. That whole process took about 6 months.
It took you.
So again, it was earned. And I put the work in.
And
I wasn't waiting for a phone call from my agent to be like, oh, you're getting called in for the Irishman. No, I did my work. Catherine did her work. I put the work in.
But
I read the book.
You actually improvised a self-tape, right? How'd you do that? Like, you just told your agent, listen, do me a favor, send this to the casting director, to Ellen, and see if it works out, right?
Yeah.
After you
and Ellen was being bombarded with about thousands and thousands of tapes. My agent is such a low-key JR. His name is JR Deeb at Maliki in LA. Been freelancing with him for like 10 years now. Salty type of guy, Lebanese doll.
He's in the Beverly Hills, right? I know that agency. Yeah.
Small agency.
Right.
Small agency. He says, I love the tape. You really, really, really did good on this tape. I'm sending it to Ellen. Sends it to Ellen. Like, Ellen's got thousands of tapes coming in. She looks at the tape. She likes the tape. Again, this is Martin Scorsese's casting director. She doesn't have time to, like, look at thousands of tapes, but she looked at the tape. She liked the tape. And she told my agent, I got to send it to Marty. Marty's got to okay it, saying I like him. And then, still, I had to go in for Ellen. And then I had to go in for a callback. Right. And then I wind up getting a role. And she said, Ellen said to my agent, it might wind up being like 5 days with no lines, but being the mayor of Philadelphia, Frank Rizzo. And I'm like, I don't care, no lines, whatever, 3 days, 1 day working on this film, whatever it is, I want to be involved with it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, they do the, well, nah, if it's got no lines, I don't want to do it. Even if it's Martin Scorsese, there's a lot of egotistical people out there.
Yeah.
But me, there's no ego involved. Mm-hmm. I always wanted to work with with Martin Scorsese, right? So I wind up, again, because when you say yes to something, you don't know what you're saying yes to. So the 5 days winds up being 2 weeks. Wow. So I work on this film for 2 weeks. Even though I have a cameo, I'm introduced as the mayor, and I have a little cameo with De Niro in a second scene shaking hands as the mayor of Philadelphia. I was on that set with the greats for 2 weeks, and it was incredible.
Did De Niro ever give you advice? Who gave you the best advice in acting as far as working with superstars?
Well, I mean, you mentioned De Niro. De Niro directed me in The Good Shepherd for a couple of scenes, and only one scene made it into The Good Shepherd. Mm-hmm. Matt Damon was the lead character in that. And actually, De Niro didn't give me this advice on the Irishman, but he gave it to me on The Good Shepherd. Mm-hmm. I was tossing and turning the night before to go to work on The Good Shepherd. I worked on that 2 days. And I'm like, what is he going to say? How is he going to direct me? What are you like? I've been like waiting for this moment all my life. I was an extra in a Bronx Tale. What am I going to do? How am I going to go about this? And I'm tossing and turning the night before. And it was so basic when I got on set. He was like, look at your surroundings. It's 1960, whatever it was. Take a look at your surroundings and do your thing. And that was it. It wasn't complicated, to me, the night before, I'm like, my idol as a kid growing up, Robert De Niro, wanted to always like work with Robert De Niro. Like it was so cut and dry. It was incredible. I mean, on The Irishman, you got Pacino to my left. You got De Niro to my right.
Wow.
I'm looking into the crowd. You got Ray Romano, Stephen Graham.
Was Keitel there too?
Catherine Arducci, Dominic Lombardozzi, Joe Pesci. They were all there for 2 weeks. for 2 weeks, I got to spend Anna Paquin, Stephanie Kazerba, like all great New York, great character actors
Yeah.
that sometimes go under the radar. Not the A-listers, but some of the actors that go under the radar, all working under the same umbrella for a couple of weeks. Like, I mean, again, when people see it like on Netflix or they see it in the film, in the movies on film, they're like, oh, well, you were just in there for like a, moment, but they don't know the backstory.
Right.
To me, I don't really care what people think. I really don't. I really don't. Me, I know that I was there, and as a kid, I dreamt of being there, but I didn't think I was going to be there for 2 weeks. My agent said 5 days, wound up being 2 weeks.
But you know what?
So to me, it was like I would have did it for free. It was like a playground. It was like going to like Great Adventure for 2 weeks.
Gino, no, I'll tell you what's better. You're playing for the Mets. You're in AAA. You get called up for 2 weeks. Simple as that. That's the feeling.
Eddie, that's a great analogy. That's awesome.
Yes.
Fantastic.
That's
Yes.
the feeling. You know what? You're in the big leagues, my man. You got De Niro. You got Pesci. You got Pacino. Was Keitel with you there too?
You know what? And I totally left him out. Yes.
Yeah. Keitel.
80 and looking diesel and looking ripped.
Yeah.
He was the sweetest guy.
And Dominic.
Head Lieutenant, Mean Streets. Come on, go on.
Exactly. You guys, I mean, these guys been in the game for years. Well known. I mean, Mean Streets. Taxi Driver, and you got Pacino. I mean, you're like surrounded by stars. That's like you playing with the Mets and let's say Strawberry and Gary Carter, and you're part of the '86 team, my man.
I got a little insight for you.
Go ahead.
Pacino's got the softest hands.
And he loves boxing. You know that, right? He loves talking boxing.
Yeah. He's got every time I shook Al's hand, so soft and delicate. It was just like total gentleman. He's wearing his iPod, his little earpods, listening to music. He was like a doll to everybody on set, from the extras to the actors that he was interacting with. Like, he's fantastic. It was an incredible experience. Of course, as an actor, you want more and you want to express more, but there's always another film or another TV show that you're going to work on that you can do that. Yeah. To me, it was like being at Great Adventure for 2 weeks.
Oh, no, hold on. It's like you being in the big leagues for 2 weeks. Hello, did you tell me I have the best analogy? Come on now.
All right.
But listen, Gino.
All right. So it's like being with the '86 Mets for 2 weeks. Okay?
Oh, that's better. All right. Gino, I'm also proud of Dominic because I always tell people he's not famous, but he's a working actor. That guy works all the time, man. I love that guy.
Again, a guy like and I've run into Dominic many times, and we all know the same people, and he's always been a gentleman to me, and I respect that guy. He's worked with, and people don't know this because, again, people are very like naive to like judge right away. He's worked with some of the greatest directors out there.
Yeah.
TV and film. And I respect that guy because, yes, he's a working actor. You know what? He's going to be working for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
So, to Dominic Lombardozzi. Exactly.
When I used to do workshops, to audition in front of, casting directors or agents, they're like, well, who do you look up to? Which actor? I'm like, you know what I'm going to look up to? He's not a superstar, but he works consistently. I said, Dominic Lombardozzi. That's the guy. He works all the time. Lombardozzi. Sorry, Dominic, if I messed up your name. But
but you know what? People don't even like remember him as Nicky Zero from A Bronx Tale.
Yeah.
And again, this is why you don't forget where you come from. He's a Bronx guy.
Yeah.
He respects where he came from. He gives props to De Niro and Chaz.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for them, but people don't even like place him from A Bronx Tale because they just don't really remember that. It just sometimes you got to do your homework.
You know what? Where else he was in? I was watching For the Love of the Game like 5 years ago. I'm like, oh shit, that's Dominic, the tow driver.
Was it Kevin Costner?
Yeah. But he was was it Presley that played his wife or girlfriend? Costner.
Jamie Presley.
Yeah. I think it's her.
It's been a while since I've seen that film.
But the thing is, you notice Dom, she's stuck on the highway. I think on the Major Deegan. And Dominic comes in and tows her car. He's like, listen, I got to get your car out of here. You're causing traffic or something like that.
Try explaining the Major Deegan to someone in Oklahoma.
You're right. That will never happen. But now let's
They're like Major. They're like Major Deegan. Is that like was he a general in World War II?
right. Now, okay, so let's get the exciting news, and I'm looking forward to this film. All right, let's talk about Capone. Holy shit! Tell me the process. How did this happen, man? Because that is look at you. I mean, look at you. Look like a what were you? A detective, cop, or a gangster? Which one?
I you know what recently I posted something. I said I play the good, the bad, and the ugly in this film.
Oh,
I do good, but I do bad, and there's some ugly shit going on. Again, all through relationship, Eddie. It's all through relationship. Again,
you know what? Let me cut you off on this one. I have a classic story for your viewers out there. Okay, your director, Josh, what's his name from Capone?
Josh Trank. Josh Trank.
What is it?
Trank. Josh Trank.
Trank. Josh Trank, actually, I think he owes you big time because he actually wrote the film in your apartment, Chronicle. The budget was $12 million. He makes over $126 million, the film. Not him, but the film makes over $126 million. Listen, Gino, did he give you any residual checks? Come on now, you deserve this. His creativity was in your place.
Let me tell you something about Josh. Josh, when I met Josh on the set, Josh was an editor and a co-producer on Big Fan.
Mm-hmm.
When I met Josh, I instantly knew that this guy was a talent. We do Big Fan, goes to Sundance in 2009. I have an amazing time at Sundance with everybody. Josh moves to New York after he's an LA guy, born and raised, I think, in Beverly Hills.
Uh-huh.
Lives in New York for a little bit while he's cutting and producing Big Fan. And at that time, he comes back to LA and he moves into the complex that where me and a few other friends are living in. And the minute I met Josh on I said a Big Fan, I said, man, this guy's just like, again, a huge cinephile, just a talent. I have a very intuitive, there's a very intuitive thing about me. Like I just know when someone's got it. Mm-hmm. And when you love movies and you're passionate about movies, just knew he had it. Like, we just kept in touch, got him in touch with some of the people. I moved into the next apartment. He took my old apartment, and Paulie and I were living in the same apartment. He winds up taking the apartment that I was living in, and Paulie was living in. He winds up he's writing Chronicle on the wall of like about my old apartment.
Unbelievable.
This is a great, like he's like, tell me about this movie. It's like, wow, that's pretty dope. I'm like, wow, it's wild. It's like found footage with this, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. And long story short, like we lost touch for like a couple of years after like things started happening. I moved back to New York. He winds up doing Chronicle. Long story short, throughout that whole time that I lose touch with him, he's writing this Fonzo, which is now called Capone movie. And the announcement comes out that Tom Hardy's doing this Al Capone movie. And as soon as the announcement comes out, he calls me up. He goes, how'd you like to be in my new film? Like, I didn't even know. I did not even know. I was like, my jaw dropped. I pulled a Ralph Cramden from the Honeymooners, Jackie Gleason. I'm like, I would love that. He goes, I wrote this role for you, and I read the script, and I was like, holy shit!
Wow.
What a ride! What a fantastic script! Because everybody is probably expecting the shoot 'em up gangster. This is a character-driven psychosis script about Al Capone after he gets out of Alcatraz, and he's living at home.
You know what First of all, Tom Hardy is my definition of a true artist. This guy could deliver, man. Such a great actor. What'd you learn from him on set?
Well, I'll tell you the same thing. I thought that I'm like, we shot in Louisiana, which doubled up from Miami, where Capone's like mansion was for the last 2 years that he lived his life. Uh-huh. So it's basically the last 2 years of his life where he's like having like some craziness going on with his dementia and syphilis. So we shot this thing in Louisiana. I got to spend 6 weeks in Louisiana. I'm going to give a shout out to a Beta Springs hotel, which it was a fantastic place to stay. And my neighbor was Matt Dillon, and he was the shit. Like we were both I'm sorry to say, he's a Mets fan. We bonded through the Mets, by the way.
And cigars, as you can see depicted
And,
right.
and cigars too. Yes, yes, yes. I'm not the quintessential cigar smoker, but I enjoy a cigar every now and then.
Uh-huh.
But I was like, before I got to Louisiana and we were going to shoot the film, I was like, this was kind of like a serious topic, dementia, syphilis. I'm like, it's kind of dark. It's a dark,
Right.
dark movie, I've been following Tom for like a while as an actor. I'm like, Method, big Marlon Brando fan he is, and I'm like, I was getting a little tippy toe around the set because this is kind of like, this is some serious shit, like dementia and Alzheimer's and syphilis. It was a total opposite. He could turn it on and off in a second.
He's so good, right? So good.
He could turn it on. 1 minute, he's dancing to rap. Action. Right to like his character. It was on and off.
So he wasn't like typical Method then. He was more.
No, it wasn't like, oh, you're hanging out with Tom on set and he was like playing Al Capone the whole time. No.
Oh, okay.
That's when you're doing a job as an actor. Like some actors take shit too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And I get the Method. I'm not a Method guy. I kind of, I'm the turn it on off guy type too. Like I'm Sanford trained, Sanford Meisner trained.
So am I. I'm Meisner trained. Exactly. I love the Meisner technique. I love it.
and taking some other classes and like other,
Right.
For me, it's on and off.
Mm-hmm.
I try to, you take it serious. Like I always get the question of, are you acting right now when you're hanging out with me, whether you're with friends or family or. I'm like, no, like when I'm working, I'm working. Some people could turn it on and off, some people can't. But Tom was able to turn it on and off.
Yeah.
And that's every individual, performer, actor, even in as a musician, like you could turn it on and off.
Yeah.
Just when you think like you're going in with doing something, you're like, no, it's totally something different. I was like, holy shit, I didn't think it was good. He would like joke around on set and he's pulling my pants on certain scenes and stuff like that.
Gino, did you guys go out afterwards? Like, did you guys hang out together at the hotel, have drinks and shit like that? Or was it just strictly business?
No, we met up before we shot. Like the cast met up with him to like, figure out like, what was he thinking as the Al Capone character, as Fonzo? What I was thinking as the character, as his right-hand guy that knew him from back in the day till present day at his mansion in Miami. Catherine as his sister, Linda as his wife, Noel Fisher as his son.
You guys, right here. This shot right here is a shot to remember. I mean, look at this.
I wasn't working that day. That's why I'm in my black Mets hat, but everybody else was working that day. I wasn't working.
You know what? Look at Tom Hardy, man. What did he do to his head? I know he has hair. They shaved it? They trimmed it? What did they do?
He shaved his head and then they put a cap on it. But he's doing his best in De Niro impression there.
Oh, okay, I see it. And you know what? And I'll tell you one thing. Linda is a great actress. Holy shit.
Let me tell you, not only a great actress, a great mom, a great person. She was a doll. She's amazing. I keep in touch with everybody that I worked. Matt's awesome. Like I was his PA on a film back in the 90s on a film called Mr. Wonderful.
Is that one? What's her name?
Who?
The Matt Dillon, Mr. Wonderful. Who was the woman that played in that?
Oh, Annabella Sciorra.
Yeah, her. Yeah.
I was a PA. I was personal assistant to Annabella Sciorra and Matt Dillon. And when I told him that I was working as a PA on that film, he was like, "Get out of here!" That's like as Eric Roberts' character said in The Pope of Greenwich Village.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm sitting behind Tony Bennett at the Frank Sinatra concert. That's success, and I own a Shylock. All that money, like to me. 30 years ago, being a PA on Mr. Wonderful with Matt Dillon, like I looked up to Matt Dillon as an actor, and then 30 years later working with him as a supporting character in a film. And I don't want to do any spoilers in the film. There's some great stuff with him in the film that I do, but that to me is like a great like story.
Yeah.
To me, that's beautiful to me to like go full circle to that.
And that's surrounded by two beautiful females right there. Look at you.
Two great actors.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Actresses. Awesome. Hands on right there. I could work with them any day, anytime. They're awesome.
I want to show people, like, we're all humans. And look, this picture right here, back in the days, I got it from Matt. I said, give me a classic. Look at this picture of you guys. You got Marissa Tomei on the right. I don't know who the lady is right next to Marissa Tomei.
You got me, Matt Levy, Lisa Leone, and Marissa Tomei. And I got to tell you, Marissa's like another doll sweetheart who I got to hang out with a few times when I lived in LA. She's a doll.
Yeah,
she's awesome. She's awesome.
I love this picture right here. It's like I call it the entourage. Like, look at that. That's a family picture right there. Like, look at that. You see? We're throwing back the clock. We're turning back the clock right there, baby.
Let me tell you something. I was just talking to Catherine. I know we're going through some crazy times right now. I almost kind of like, you got your good days and your bad days right now.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has their good days and their bad days. And I just want to send out some love to Nick Cordero, who's a fellow actor who's battling right now in a hospital right now. I send prayers to him every day. Everybody's got their good days and bad days. But Catherine and I were talking about the good days of, like, that's in front of Catherine's stoop. Catherine was like the mama hen of Fountain Avenue. She would have Sunday dinners, afternoons with everybody every Sunday. That's like probably like 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
I know everybody in that pic. Like that seems like 100 years ago, and I miss those days. And we were talking about it earlier today. We're like, holy shit, like that seems like so long ago. But like we miss those days. That's like so innocent.
Yeah.
Of like all New Yorkers just we were hanging out in front of a stoop.
Gino, what I love about this picture is that, there's who's the Baltimore?
I didn't think you would have. I didn't think you're going to pull up that one. That's a very emotional. Sad. It's a happy. Happy and sad. Like I miss those days, but it's happy that we got to experience that then,
But you know what? It's like I remember Harborough, the football coach. They kind of grew up poor, the Harborough brothers. But you know what their parents said? They taught them this. They said, "Listen, we have each other. That's all that counts." And that's what it reminds me of, this picture of you guys. You guys are all trying to make it. You're going. You know what I mean? And we have each other, and that's the key, man. It's family. Being together. It's the neighborhoods that you grew up with how Catherine grew up, how everybody has their neighborhoods that they grew up in. For instance, I grew up in Brooklyn, Canarsie. You know what I mean? So it's like, it reminds me, when I saw that picture, I was like, man, I could relate to this picture because this is how I was with my friends. We were together and we have each other. We might not have money, but we were always looking forward to playing with each other every day, whether it's stickball or whatever. You know what I mean? Those are memories right there, man. And you don't see that in nowadays anymore. You do not.
No. I tell people all the time, they're like, "Oh, I'm thinking about moving to LA." They're like telling me, "Oh, I'm thinking about moving to LA. How was it moving, living in LA?" LA is not the same when I lived there. I lived in LA from like 06 to like 2012.
Right.
There was no Uber, there was no Lyft, there was no apps that you could actually hustle, and there was none of that. So it was very different then, and it was very different even in the late 90s and early 90s LA. So LA is very different today than it was yesterday. So my philosophy is you could be anywhere in the world if you have the drive and you have the passion and you really believe in yourself. It doesn't matter where you are.
Right.
It really doesn't. But listen, LA was like a second home, and is still. I miss LA. I was supposed to be in LA right now. Reading a second film that I want to produce that I wrote, kind of like a follow up to Cruise. But Corona hit, and it happened. LA is like a second home.
Yeah.
LA has shown love to me. It's definitely, made me grow as a person.
Mm-hmm.
It really, sometimes LA to some people might be a good or bad thing. To me, I don't have any regrets about living in LA, and I love going back to LA, and I love LA. And seeing that picture, just took me back. I was bartending and I was running a bar on Sunset Boulevard, right across the street from the Chateau Marmont.
Uh-huh.
And we were probably going to a party that I was throwing and bartending at after that picture.
Oh, okay.
So to even think back and we were going to you're on the Sunset Strip, one of the most famous strips in the world, in one of the most famous cities in the world, Hollywood, across from the chateau. Like, I wasn't even looking at it that way, but we had so much fun back then.
Yeah.
And I really cherish those days, and I miss them.
When you have New Yorkers in L.A., I mean, think about it. In L.A., people are from everywhere. You got Midwest, you got, internationally. But when you have your crew, that is a great feeling, man. It's a great feeling.
But I went out there with no crew, and you just kind of found you find your way into like gelling with some, the people that are kind of like, that's the beautiful thing about when you move away from your like city that you were born and raised in, especially like a place in LA that everyone's kind of like going after their own dreams and doing their thing. When you run into the same people and that same vibe, you bond so much quickly, such a bond there. You come from the same place. It still goes on, but again, LA today, 2020, is totally different from LA 2010 to me.
Right.
Very different. It's just very different to me. But again, I don't, because you can get New Yorkers that lived in LA to come back to New York. They're like, oh, I loved LA, but I hated LA. I fucking hate that.
You love it or you hate it. It's either you love it or you hate it.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's a city of angels. How are you going to hate it? It's a city of angels. You got to love it.
I think, you know what it is? I think the New Yorkers that say they hate it, I think they hated the people, but I know they love the environment. Let's get this shit straight. You and I grew up in New York, and we love that weather in L.A. Come on now. You're waking up in January with T-shirt and shorts, and you're walking out in T-shirt and shorts. You're like, hell yeah. Look at the weather.
I was walking around in February. There was like a foot of snow in New York, and I'm walking around in shorts. Come on.
Exactly.
Come on.
So listen,
but they say that New Yorkers are tough, but there's certain New Yorkers that buckle and can't take LA either.
Right.
Like that's like it's not like, yeah, I'm from New York. I could take LA. I've seen a lot of guys and girls from New York that moved to LA that buckled after like 6 months, a year, and they went right back to New York. They couldn't take it. You either got the character of like falling down and getting back up, or you don't.
Right. Yeah, well, listen, it's easier to stay positive when everything's going your way, but when you drop, are you the same person? And that's the biggest question. Our profession, we get rejected 98% of the time. You could be the best actor, you could be great, and you still won't get a call back because you don't fit the role. Simple as that. You could have the best audition. Now, Gino, you and I know this. How many times you auditioned and you thought you were perfect for it, and you don't get shit?
And I'm not exaggerating. I probably went on 1,000 auditions and probably booked 20.
It's hard, man. So it's really hard, and
but once you have that little talk in the mirror in the bathroom with yourself, and you say, it's not me, it's whatever the universe or the role asks for. Like, you could be the greatest actor in the world, but if the role is not perfectly fit for you, it's not fit for you. So don't take it personal. Right. It's a business.
Yeah, no, I get it. Show biz, that's what it is.
It's a business. I worked my ass off to get the movie Cruise done. Big fan. I was perfectly fit for that movie, and he rolled the dice. There's certain things. Josh Trank is loyal. I know Josh Trank could have gave that role to anybody, any A-lister or any character actor on TV or film, but he knew me as me when we worked on Big Fan, and he didn't care about all that other stuff. He's like, you know what? You're going to be great in this. And you know what? I'm grateful for people that think like that.
Yeah.
So everything falls into place. It all falls into place. You just really, the people that never get to where they're going are the ones that give up.
Yeah. I get it. Listen,
it's not as Stallone's character, as Rocky Balboa said, it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
It's not how many times you get hit, but how many times you're going to get hit.
Yeah.
And keep moving forward. That is so real. When I saw that in his last, well, not his last Rocky, but because they did Creed, but when I saw that in Rocky Balboa, that was like an iconic, like, just when you think like another iconic thing from like a movie would come out, he says that in the movie in 2000, I think that was 2006, 7. Like, it doesn't matter how many times you get hit, but it matters how many times you get hit, keep moving forward. Yeah. That's the truth.
No, I love that. Yeah.
It's true. Because people give up. I don't want to say easily, but people that have not gotten to where they want to go, it's because they gave up.
Yeah. No,
So everybody,
I agree.
there's a hot and there's a hot and a cold. There's low tide and high tide. You know, there's the laws in the universe.
Yeah.
The law of gravity. The law of gravity. That's a law. You jump off a building, you're gonna fall. Whether you're a good guy or a bad guy, you're gonna fall. You're gonna hit the ground.
Yeah.
So really depends on your self will and how much you're looking to move forward because it is tough, but believe in yourself and it all works out.
Oh, absolutely. Gino, you've been great. I love this interview. I love how
Thanks, Freddie.
you threw out the facts. You threw out, what you said about acting, what you talked about being on set. I mean, listen, you're doing great. Keep the water running, man. I'm a fan of yours now since I got.
I like that. I like that analogy. I love that. Keep the water running.
Oh,
That's exactly what you know. What you keep it running.
keep
You
the
keep
water
it running.
running, man. Because you know what? I have a huge athletic background, and I always say, look, man, if you're struggling with something, don't bitch. Go fix it. And when you fix it, it's the same thing as a baseball player. You could hit the ball perfectly, so good, and guess what? It's in somebody's rawlings. Caught. You're out. Same shit in an audition. You could nail it. The ball goes to someone else. Sorry. Simple as that.
When it's your time,
It's your time.
and you throw it out to the movie gods and the TV gods, so
Yeah.
whatever, you know, you throw it out there. And when it's your time, it's your time. It doesn't. You can't say, well, I wasn't good enough. The people that say they weren't good enough is like, you really. It really is a psycho. Like you really kind of like almost talking in the mirror all the time with yourself. You're like, am I
But
good? Am I not good? Am I good? As long as you're
yeah.
doing your work and you know that you're self-aware,
Mm-hmm.
so we're gonna work out.
And Gino, you and I know we all have doubts, right? We know it's normal. Human behavior is doubt. You're like, wait a minute, where am I going? What am I doing in my life? Why am I not getting this? Right? Didn't you
And,
have those thoughts?
I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I don't have those. I have those.
Right.
1,000%. You got your good days and your bad days. But the good days for me outweigh the bad days.
Yeah.
Um, and if you keep on, again, people are like, well, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to, should I take the acting class? Should I not? Just test the waters, man.
Right.
Jump in the deep end, man. I know it's scary.
But it's the same.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's the same thing as an actor making choices. Well, you know what? I'm going to go with this choice. Just take a gamble. Okay, if this choice doesn't work, let me go with this choice. That's what's great about acting is like you could.
I gotta say one thing. What we do is a fucking pleasure. And you
Yeah.
know what? Guys like Denzel Washington say the same thing, and a bunch of other actors that I love that I followed throughout the years. What we do is a pleasure.
Yeah.
Right now, what's going on in the world, I praise and I give kudos to the people that are on the front line, the nurses, the doctors that are they're putting in the 18 hours, the 20 hours a day, that are getting 3 hours of sleep, to this fucking evil, excuse my language,
It's
to
okay.
this evil that came out of like I would have never thought that we'd be in this situation. Like we've heard about it a couple of months ago. Yeah. I took it lightly too. I'm not gonna like
We
sugarcoat it.
took it lightly. We all took it lightly.
I
Trust
took it lightly. Like what? No, it's like like it's a little like cold flu. Like I'm not the hero here. I'm just like the regular guy waking up in the morning, doing the best I could, being the best person that I could be, being the best father that I could be to my daughter, because that's the most important thing to me in my life
Mm-hmm.
is my kid, my daughter. I'm not the hero. Like we're doing our thing and we try to keep positive and we go up and down every day. But the true heroes today, right now, as we speak, is 2020, April 18th, right? April
Yep.
18th.
Uh-huh.
The real true heroes, man. And I haven't seen it in front of my face, but I've seen it on social media and on TV. Are the doctors, nurses,
Oh yeah.
truck drivers, whoever's on the front line, getting us the food, saving lives. Like those are the true heroes, man. And we're sitting back like we're quarantined, and people are complaining about being like in a house by yourself or with family, and complaining about, oh, I got to eat the same food every day, or like, what am I going to eat today? That's like small potatoes, man.
Yeah. At least
That's
you
small
have food.
potatoes,
At
man.
least you have food on your table.
Yeah, that's small potatoes, man. Like, like I'm not like, and I love movies like the Avengers and stuff like that. But those are not the true heroes. The true heroes are the doctors and nurses that are going in battle. This is a war. Now, I'm not a big political guy, but they're going into war, these doctors and nurses. They're showing up every day in, day out, not knowing if they're going to get sick or not sick.
And they got
And
to come home to their families, too. And their families are probably scared.
got friends and family that have died. The friends and family of friends and family that have died. So stop complaining. Stop complaining that you're sitting on the couch and you're gaining a few pounds. You know what? There's other people out there that don't have those pounds to gain because they have passed on because of this evil that is upon us. So I just really, I'm not a big religious or political guy, but I just pray for everyone on the front line, and I pray for everybody that's sick in this world, that this passes. And it's not going to pass by putting a light switch on and off. You know, um, I wanted to do this. I wasn't going to back out of it because I'm a stand-up guy. I told you I was going to do it. But we know what the most important thing in this world is right now. People that are on the front line that's saving lives. Right. This is like minute stuff. This is like,
you know what, Gino? I tell people, if you're healthy, you're spoiled. Simple as that. You're healthy, you're spoiled. Listen, Gino, I got to interview Manolo. So
Manolo, Eddie, you're the man, Eddie.
It's an honor for you to have me. Eddie. I want to thank Matt Levy for hooking me up with you. Next, try to get Catherine on because I would love to talk to her. Daryl Strawberry just texted me Thursday. We are on. Okay.
Tell Daryl met him during the How You Doing days. But we won't get into that now. But even though I'm a Met fan, I wrote a song for the Yankees with a couple other guys. But Daryl remembers the How You Doing Yankees song. If you bring that up, he'd be like, "Oh yeah," because he came up to us. He was like excited about the song. Daryl's a stand-up guy. So
I'm gonna tell him. I'm gonna mention your name in the interview. Just make sure you watch it.
I will watch it. Yes, Eddie.
All right. Okay. Listen, we'll talk later. Let me end the broadcast, but I'll still be on with you. Hold on a minute. Let me just end it. Thank you for watching, everybody. Gino Cafarelli, and watch the movie Capone coming out when?
May 12th.
May 12th.
Streaming everywhere.
On the big screen, baby. All right.
We'll talk. On the big screen we call home right now.
Listen, do me a favor. I want you to say, who the hell is Eddie Mata? Just out of nowhere. But like, just say, who the hell is Eddie Mata?
Who the hell is Eddie Mata?
I love it. First take, one take, baby. We'll talk later.
Eddie, thank you, bro.
Hold on, hang in there. Hold on a minute.
Okay.